Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6-foot parlor. I wish I was like 6 foot.
Hey, Algebra 2, this is section 1.6, solving absolute value equations and inequalities. So solving an absolute value equation, the absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on a number line. So since the distance is positive, can't be a negative distance, then the absolute value is going to be positive also. Symbolically, for any real number a, if a is greater than 0, then the absolute value of a is equal to a. If it is less than 0, then the absolute value of the negative a is still equal to a. In other words, what we're doing is we're trying to find just how far we are away from 0. So if I said 3 and we were here, okay, we know that we are 1, 2, 3. So we're 3 units away. If I were at negative 3, then the absolute value of 3 should also be 3, meaning if I am here, I am 1, 2, 3 units away. Note, the solution set for an equation that has no solution, we call that an empty set, symbolized by these two brackets with nothing in them, or kind of a 0 with a line through it. You need to always make sure you check your solutions with absolute value. An extraneous solution is a solution derived from an original equation that is not a solution to the original equation. So if we get a solution at the end and we plug it back in and it doesn't work, we call that extraneous. Okay. And the other thing that we need to note is you must isolate the absolute value expression before rewriting as two equations to minimize mistakes. Example, we're going to solve each equation and then basically check our answers. So the goal, remember, absolute value is by itself. Once it's by itself, I know that I can be equal to the negative or the positive. So we're going to say negative 3x is equal to 18, or negative 3x is equal to the negative 18. Solving both solutions, we can divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. What we'll get, if we look over here, is we'll get x equals negative 6 or x equals positive 6. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to double check and make sure. So if I were to plug these back in and say negative 3 times negative 6, which is 18. What's the absolute value of 18? It is 18. If we were to plug in 6, 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. Absolute value of negative 18 is positive 18. So both check out. Moving on to number 2. Absolute value is by itself. There's nothing else on this other side, so we can write the original equation, say or, keep the 2x minus 1, but set it equal to the negative 5. Okay. Both equations, we're going to add 1 to both sides. 2x equals 6, or 2x equals negative 4. If we divide by 2 to both equations, we will get x equals 3, or x equals negative 2. Draw a little box. Okay, if we check our solution, so my check, if I plug in 3, we're going to go 2 times 3 minus 1. 6 minus 1 is 5. Absolute value of 5 is 5. So that checks out. If we do negative 2, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, minus 1 equals negative 5. Absolute value of negative 5 is 5. Both check out. When we get to number 3, Notice there is a 3 on the outside of the absolute value, so we have to get rid of the 3. So if we divide by 3, we divide the 12 by 3. Now we get z plus 7 absolute value is equal to 4. Okay. Now that this is all by itself, z plus 7 equals 4, or z plus 7 equals negative 4. Subtract 7 to everything. Draw a line. We get z equals negative 3, or z equals negative 11. Okay. If we check, so we're going to go 3 times negative 3 plus 7 should equal 12. 3 times the absolute value of 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 11. 3 negative 11 plus 7 should equal 12. 3 times the absolute value of negative 4, which is 12, equals 12. So those check out. Hit pause, do number 4, check back in a second. Welcome back. By checking, you should have gotten y equals 0, y equals 4. When we plug in 0 over here, if we get 4 minus 0 is 4. Absolute value of 4 plus 5 is 9. Checkmate. If we plug in the 4, we get 4 minus 8, which is negative 4. Absolute value of negative 4 is 4 plus, and then plus 5 is 9. Now we're going to solve each equation and check for extraneous solutions. So these, again, solutions that we get, but when we plug them in, they do not work. So notice, absolute value is all by itself. So I'm going to rewrite what we have. 3x minus 7. But we're also going to say, or x plus 5 equals the opposite of the 3x minus 7 over here. Okay. So if I subtract the 3x over, we're going to get negative 2x plus 5 equals negative 7. If we distribute, just to make it easier to look at, we get this. So now if we subtract 5, we get negative 2x equals negative 12. If I add the 3 over, we get 4x plus 5 equals 7. Divide by negative 2, and you get x equals 6, or, done this way, if I subtract 5 over, you get 4x equals 2, x equals 1/2. So what we have to do is we have to plug these in. So if we go 6 plus 5 absolute value, that should equal 3 times 6 minus 7. So 11 should equal 18 minus 7, which is 11. So 11 equals 11. That checkmates, or that checks out. If we plug in the half, okay, 1/2 plus 5 is 5.5, absolute value. Half of 3 is 3/2 minus 7. When we plug in the 1/2 here, we're going to get 3/2 minus 14/2, which is negative 11/2. So we'll see that we got positive 5.5, but negative 5.5. So this does not work. So the only answer is x equals 6. Number 6, we need to subtract the 1. So we get 7y minus 3 equals negative 1. Okay. There's a little trick here if we look, but if you go back to the very beginning, remember the absolute value of something is always positive. So we have the absolute value of this quantity is a negative. That can't happen, so this one is no solution. Extraneous values. Hit pause for the last 2 and check back in a second. We'll see how you did. Check. Welcome back. ended up getting w equal to 1 and w equal to negative 5 halves. When we plug in 1, we ended up getting 7. Absolute value of 7 minus 2 is 5. Check mark. And we also, when we plugged in negative 5 halves, get negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. Absolute value is 7. 8. Welcome back. Number 8, we ended up getting both z equal to negative 1. So we only have to plug in 1. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Times 2 is 0. So we have negative 3 on the left. And negative 1 and negative 2 make negative 3. So negative 3 equals negative 3. So this one checks out.